Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of Pay-Per-View. It's a week late, and I've replaced Steve. Welcome to the podcast, Bex. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Bex. I am a relatively new wrestling fan. I've been here since February and have got in too deep too quick. So it's really just sort of become a brain rot of an incurable stage. I hang out on Blue Sky, Phoenix Force, and post opinions on various things. Currently, mostly wrestling because I am who I am. So, you know.
You've come in since February and you've hard turned your life into wrestling.
Yeah.
That's so impressive.
Thank you. I went to my first indie show last month, which was delightful. I saw Pro Wrestling Eve in London, which is all women's promotion. It's wonderful. Will Ospreay doing Ring Crew, which very funny. And then heading up Forbidden Door and Dynamite and Collision in August.
Right, I need to book my Forbidden Door tickets because something on this show. Tanahashi, baby! I can't wait.
It's so good.
I need to see him wrestle live once, and this is my last chance to do it. So,
it's so good.
Right.
But yeah, February. I've been here since February, and it's really it's become a lot.
It's incredible, and we've spoken a few times on separate Discord servers about wrestling, and your knowledge is probably deeper than mine. In
I've
certain
never been
areas.
normal about anything in my life, unfortunately.
Yeah, wow. This is an awesome place to kind of talk about it and have a different perspective on the podcast. We're talking about Double or Nothing 2025, which was from Arizona. There we go. I got that right. And yeah, do you watch AEW weekly?
Yes. Yeah, week to week I watch it. Sometimes live, depending on how tired I am, time zones. But yes, weekly, catch up every time. I've got a 4-hour Dynamite on the dock for today, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I struggle. The weird thing is, I love wrestling, but I struggle not to watch it live.
Yeah.
So if I don't watch it live, I don't catch up. And I've got to get better at it for this podcast because I'm going to level with you. I've got no idea what's happening on Dynamite right now.
That's so fair. A lot of things are happening on Dynamite right now. I'm pretty up to date. I caught some of the matches from this week's Dynamite, so I'm sort of there. And also I have a lot of friends who help because we're always chatting about it, which helps, I think, motivate you to keep up because you're like, I have to watch it so I can discuss this match or this part or whatever.
Yeah. So that's why I made this podcast, so I could find those people and then force the people who kind of like wrestling to watch more of it.
Exactly.
So this is Steve. This is a torture chamber I've built for Steve. And
I went away recently with my friends to Shetland, and we didn't have great sex. I was like, I gotta catch up with Dynamite and Collision, and one of my friends was like, I'll stay in the room, I'll do some crafting, and I was like, sure. He's doing his crafting, he looks up, sees Hangman Adam Page, and is like, who is this? And I was like, welcome. This is Hangman. I'm about to ruin your entire life.
He's so captivating that you don't even need to see him do anything but walk to the ring.
He was just sort of standing there, and I was like, hello, yes, this is your end.
Well, let's move on to talk about the mammoth that was Double or Nothing.
Oh,
a little long in the tooth.
A little long in the tooth, but what's new?
It was pretty fucking good all the way through.
Pretty good. Retrimmed, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have any pictures of the pre-show up, but did you watch the pre-show?
Yeah, I watched the pre-show after the pay-per-view. I watched it the next day because I was going to watch it, and then I was like, I'm gonna actually take a preemptive nap so I can make it through the pay-per-view. And then I
should have done that so I didn't fall asleep in the main event. But
yeah,
I watched it, and the first hour was them bullying RJ to do the repeated
as they should
read. I was like, oh my god.
I love you, RJ City, but sometimes we should be bullying you.
Yeah. It's a good panel. Like, I like Renee, RJ, and it's the best use of Jeff Jarrett they've got.
It
Keep
is
him there.
correct. Yeah. You are
Don't let
correct.
him go in the ring again.
That tag match, Harley Cameron and Penelope Ford, was all very good. It that's the bit that got me, because like I don't know if you kept up with the Dynamite after Double or Nothing. So they ran it back and did it as a no DQ match, which sure, I love a no DQ match. It's one of my favorite things. So I was like, sure, I'll watch that. And they have a spot where Megan hits Harley off the steel steps outside the ring, and she busts her nose open, and like. It looks really bad. Like the doctor comes out to check on her, they're pressing on her face, she's flinching away, she decides to continue the match, etc., etc. It's a work. It's all a work. She hasn't broken her nose. And I was like, you know what? I got. And I don't often get got by a work, and that one got me. It was so convincing, but apparently she mildly injured herself at Double or Nothing tag match. So it was to create an injury angle for her. But I was like, crazy, because I would not have known, and I would not have known that was a work until I saw her on Instagram in Italy with a very much unbroken nose.
Yeah, it's a night that they're both fun tag teams. I think it's weird that the Harley Cameron team is getting all the wins, because Megan Bain was the new thing 5 minutes ago.
And like, I like Penelope Ford, but I'm like, I feel like perhaps she's the problem, Megan.
Yeah,
Perhaps she should be a singles wrestler.
I don't know what's going on there, because I'm like,
it's a tough one, because I mean, Harley is so over. Like, everyone loves Harley, and she's a lot of fun. But I'm just like, I just think sometimes she should be getting.
Harley Cameron is so over. You could beat her every week for 2 years, and she could still win the championship, and the entire crowd lose their godmother mind.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, she can afford to eat a pin here or there. So I would like to see them build that.
That's what Anna Jay's there for. She can eat all the pins.
I know, like, well, Harley's out with injury, and spoilers for any, I guess, recent ones. We've booked in a new tag partner for Anna Jay, it seems. So we'll see.
Mello's back, right?
Yeah. So we're back there. So we'll see what happens.
I was surprised by the butt offense. That's why I wanted to talk about this pre-show match, was the amount of butt-based offense that the women's division currently has going.
Well, I just feel like Anna Jay's kind of trying to make that her thing, and I'm like, in any other company, you would be so fine. You would be so fine. Unfortunately, you share a division with Toni Storm, who has the most lethal hip attack in the business. So
I feel like that Toni Storm and the sapphic energy is infecting the women's division. And it's fine, and we love that. But it's just like, you can't outdo her.
You can't outdo the doer, is the thing. So you kind of have to either get real good or find like a slightly different niche from her.
Exactly. And then the 4-on-4 tag match with a million wrestlers, half of which I didn't know who they were, was the normal AEW 4-versus-4 high-flying pre-show nonsense match where everyone does the stupidest move they can think of, and then you go, that's not the pin.
Yeah, that's correct. And I love their high flyers. They're a lot of fun. But yeah, those 4v4 tags are always crazy work. There's so much going on. But, you know, I love to see some luchas on the show. They're always great. And unfortunately, I do love a flippy boy. I love to watch the flippy boys do their work. But sometimes there's so many, and I'm like, oh, okay, what's happened?
I had to look up as I was watching it who half of them. I was like, which lucha's that? Why?
I know.
What's going on? Trent Blair and
Trent Blair is here.
He's in the Don Callis family.
That's a recent development. To be fair, he came back. He's having a bad time. He's in the Don Callis family. They're doing RPG Vice.
I was so lost. I was like, I thought I knew what the Don Callis family was. And then also in the pre-show, Lance Archer is a speaking guy
Archer.
as part
Oh,
of the
Lance
Don Callis
Archer.
family.
I know. The Don Callis family's getting huge. And, like, that's fine, but I'm just like, I feel like they have to be your division's next big bads once you get rid of the Death Riders or whatever's going on there.
Yeah. The main card. Let's talk about the thing we're here to talk about. We open with Callum's match of the night. This was fucking amazing.
So good. Like, an absolute masterclass from both of them.
Mercedes Moné versus Jamie Hayter for the Owen Hart Foundation Cup tournament final.
Yeah.
The winner gets Tony Storm at All In.
In whatever way she so chooses, because you just never know with Tony Storm. What a match.
Yeah. This is Moné's best match in AEW.
Yes. Yeah, it's definitely one of her best. She's been really showing out lately. And for a while, I kind of was of the opinion that Mercedes was kind of phoning it in AEW a little. Like, she was doing her belt collector, and that was fine, but she was kind of like, they're fine. And then very recently, I feel like she's had a real, like, I don't know, injection where she's like, oh, okay, yeah, actually, I've locked in. I'm here. And I'm like, oh, you could have been doing this all along. This is great work.
I genuinely think it's ring rust that she's taken off. She's taken a year of doing great matches back to back. Like, every match she makes her opponent look good, and she only wins because of bullshit.
Yes.
And her finisher looks like shit, which is why
her finisher's so bad. I hate it. I hate her finisher.
Which is why her accidental new finisher in this match was fucking great.
Lethal. That looked lethal. I was like, is she good? Like, Jamie, are you alright, girl? Because that spike was nasty.
Never before has a match made the Meteora look like a fucking devastating move, despite performing it maybe 90 times.
I know. It looked so good. Like, Mercedes always has this talent of, like, she'll sell like nobody's business and she'll make her opponent look good. But she looked so strong in this match that I spent the whole time like, this could go either way. I'm not convinced who's winning this, which crazy in a Mercedes match because, hey, spoiler alert, she's going to win them. She shouldn't have won this one, but that's at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I think
the match itself was incredible.
The thing you have to mention about like her selling to Jamie's like beefy, hard hitting style is what made this electric. It's like they like and Jamie did a lot of selling as well because she had prior injuries that were being used in the match.
They were working that back like crazy.
It was just a perfect combination of styles of like Moné made Jamie look like $1 million and then snuck away a win, but like did not stop. Like there was an amazing bit where Jamie gets caught in the ropes. Moné does a meteor to her, and then she gets stuck with her feet. So Jamie's hanging out of the ring with her feet stuck on the bottom rope. And then she does another one, and it looks like Jamie's dead. And that's like 5 minutes into the match.
And it just sort of like continues from there. And you're like, okay, yeah, these women came to absolutely work. They were hooping for sure. And it was so much fun. And then later on, when Jamie hits that tombstone, and Mercedes says like she's dead as well. And I was like, oh, they've just straight up killed her. And then that weak little kick out she does, I was like, this is incredible work, frankly, from both of you. Yeah. I love Jamie. I love Jamie's style. I think she's so good. I hope she doesn't get lost in the shuffle now following this. But
what I imagine, and this is true for both of these Owen Hart tournament matches, I think we've seen the winners of next year's lose this year.
Very possible. I would not be surprised. Like Jamie just had so long out, and I just think she's come back with an absolute vengeance. Like, looks so strong, has taken so much punishment to that back, which like that injury was serious. so impressed she's back at all, frankly. And she, just looks incredible. I love her like brawler style. I love when she's a bruiser.
I love her new look. The green and purple, the collar on her singlet. I was like, I wrote down in my notes, as well, the thing notes I made was like, that look is great. It's so good.
So many people talk like, oh, like we miss her old look, and I'm like, you're all cowards. She looks amazing like this. The green and purple was so good on her, and also so deeply funny after in the build Mercedes said she looked like a Scooby-Doo character to come out dressed like Daphne. And I was like,
she is just like she's movie Daphne. She is the Buffy the Vampire Slayer version of Daphne.
She's such a delight. So I hope she is back on TV soon, because she absolutely deserves it. They're setting up a new feud for her, which bodes well. I think she'll probably lose it, but it bodes well to see her around with her new scary spider lady.
I can imagine if Monet doesn't win the title, that they go back to this as the feud to get the TBS title off Monet.
I think the TBS title has to come off her sooner rather than later, regardless of whether she wins the world or not. Because I think the Bell Collector's been very fun. I think it's time Mercedes has a crash out and starts dropping titles. She dropped the New Japan Strong, which I was like, okay, so maybe this is the start of it, but we'll see about the others.
Yeah, we shall see. Let's move on from what was the best opening match you could have asked for.
So deeply amped.
What I honestly would have done is I would have switched the order and put this in the Tony Storm slot, because this was so good you didn't need a hot crowd, because the crowd would have got hot of it. And I think that later on the Tony Storm match suffers from a lower crowd, so I would have I would have switched them around. But we'll move on to FTR, Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood with Stokely Hathaway, who's now just Stokely, versus Daniel Garcia and Nigel McGuinness.
Oh, Nigel.
It was about 15 minutes.
It was too long. It ran too long. I don't really know what else I have to say about it. It did run too long. I find I'm not that emotionally invested in Danny Garcia. I would like to be, but I'm just like, I think you need friends your own age. I think you maybe need to like have friends your own age, because you're running around with the old men, and like that's fine, but it's doing you a disservice. It's just true.
I think that this is the best Nigel's looked since he came back.
Yeah,
because they worked around what he was able to do, and like the whole match was built around FTR work over Nigel so they can get Daniel Garcia in, and FTR clearly know how to wrestle that guy. They're the kind of same wrestlers.
Not wrong.
I would have loved this to go 10 minutes and do the same amount of action in 10 minutes, and it's a lot more engaging.
10 minutes I think would have been the sweet spot for it. I have a lot of affection for Nigel, I really do. So I really don't mind seeing him in the ring. It's nice to see that he can still go, even if it's not what it was. And honestly, I kind of like the little spots they did. When he had, I think it was Dax, and was making him apologise to Shivani, and he comes back and was like, I'm not sorry, actually, I just said that because Nigel had me. Funny, like, FTR are good heels, like, they're good at getting heat, they're good at doing comedy within their heat, so, the heat spots worked for me, the, like, character spots worked for me, it just ran a little long. We could have trimmed this a little bit.
Exactly. That's I echo exactly. I think this is not to talk about the Fed, but it was on the last show that we did. I had a massive go at Pat McAfee for being in the ring with Gunther.
Yes.
This worked because do you know who it was built around? It was built around everyone else in the ring to make them look better. It made FDR look good. It made Daniel Garcia a more of a babyface. It was all to strengthen the ongoing stories of other characters. Nigel was just there to strengthen that, and his love affair with Tony Schiavone.
Had his own little spot with his little commentary love story. Lovely, love that for those old men. But it wasn't the centerpiece of the match, and it shouldn't have been. So I think it was a good way to do that without it turning into, like you say, the Pat McAfee Gunther miss, which your opinions on that may vary, but I will not be getting into it because famously a Fed hater to my core.
Yeah, that's good. I appreciate that. It's nice because I unfortunately, as much as this is a torture chamber for Steve to watch AEW, it's also a torture chamber for me to watch the Fed. I
think as well, it's like, obviously I came into wrestling in February. I came in via AEW, so I've kind of not known the WWE style. I've never had the nostalgia for it, so I go in with fresh eyes looking, and that's fine. Things don't have to be for me. I will just stay in my little corner quite happy. Seeing something like this and then going back and like, where's the matches? Like, they apparently have matches, and very occasionally they let people wrestle, but very occasionally. If I have to write down in my notes when they let people wrestle, they let them wrestle. It's mad. I mean, like, I wouldn't digress, but when are they going to let Io Sky wrestle again, please and thank you?
When she loses the belt. Next up, we had what was a lot of people's match of the night, match of the night. Mark Briscoe versus Ricochet in a stretcher match, which is different to an ambulance match.
Also, like, they kind of combined them. It was sort of both.
You've got to get
they called it a stretcher match.
You've got to get the guy on the stretcher and then the stretcher in the ambulance.
That's it. That's how you win.
Mark Briscoe currently exists to take pins, but he always looks good doing them.
He does always look good doing them. I've never particularly gelled with him as a wrestler, but he showed out this match and looked great. It was a lot of fun. That match was a lot of fun. I'm a stipulation girly. I love a stipulation. So when they show up, I'm always very excited to see how they go. This one was a lot of fun. I'd never seen a stretcher / ambulance match. I'm not convinced it wasn't an ambulance match, but it's fine. They can call it what they want.
I love a good stip. I think stips are a nice flavour, because if you just had single matches all the way through your pay-per-view, you just get bored. This was fun nonsense. It was about the right length. There was a moment where they were at the ambulance, they were in the final sequence, and then went back to the ring, and I was like, what the fuck are you doing that for? Get one done! Stop what you're doing!
The ring! Stop it!
This match is slightly going too long. And then they immediately did 2 moves in the ring and went right back. I'm like, what was that?
We could have cut that sequence, fractionally too long, but not like FTR and Danny and Nigel. That was fairly too long. This was only slightly. Looked great. I love it when they do a sickos match and let people bleed. Always a delight for me. This pay-per-view is a delight for me on that front. So, frankly, I'm winning all round. A lot of fun. I think Ricochet's a great heel, doing some excellent heel work. Between this and the prosthetic issue he had the last one, he's just doing absolutely excellent work on the heel front.
And he works on a great upper mid card level, but can turn the comedy up or turn the comedy down, and it all works the same.
He's very locked into his gimmick and can adjust on the fly based on what the match calls for, which I think is such a valuable skill.
Yeah, I'm really happy that he's found his place in AEW now, because he struggled in the first couple of months, and now he's on it.
AEW feels like such a sink or swim. You get so much I don't want to say creative control, because then people assume I mean bookings, and I do not mean the booking. But control over your own sort of gimmick and how you're running things. And for some people that's great and you absolutely thrive, and for others I think they struggle without those guardrails. So I always think it's so nice when I see someone take to it and figure it out and be like, oh, I found my spot. I found my niche. I know what I'm doing and how it's working.
Yeah, and I think you see that sometimes AEW doesn't know what gimmicks are working or what it wants from gimmicks, because like it just doesn't, like, the House of Black never really worked in AEW because it was slightly magical, and I think now they've just become the Hounds of whatever they are.
Hounds of Hell, yeah,
Hounds
much
of
better.
Hell.
It's just sort
Much
of
better.
aesthetically, they're little spooky guys, and that's fine.
But at the same time, Julia Hart's spooky thing works.
Oh, Julia Hart. Is she the best wrestler in that division? Absolutely not. Is she so much fun every time? Yeah.
She's so much better than she was. They've given her time to grow.
So much.
Very entertaining. I'd say that about most of the women's division. Every time I see them, I'm like, oh, that's marked improvement. Yeah, well, we'll move on to, I assume neither of us got much to talk about with the tag team match between Shelty B, Bobby, and then Sammy and Dustin.
Why is Sammy Guevara on my TV? I don't care for Sammy. I'll come out hot and say it. I don't care for Sammy.
I no longer care for Sammy, but in the first 2 years of AEW, I was a big Sammy guy. I thought that he had a lot of promise. Obviously, been an asshole in the past, and I don't think that, like, he's rightly been sent to ROH to keep him away from TV. So I didn't need him here.
Go back there. All I'm saying. And I have affection for Dusty Rhodes, obviously, bless him. But I'm just like, did we need this match?
I don't think anyone's ever told Dusty, you know you're not your dad, right? You know you can't sell anything with a promo.
Yeah, and like, I have affection. I have affection, to be clear. But also, unnecessary match. I didn't need it. I could have had another match that I'd have enjoyed a lot more. I feel like there needs to be some work done to build the tag titles again, to have a credible threat to the Hart Syndicate. And I just don't know who that's going to be at this point.
Yeah, the tag division's been in an absolute state for years. And
there's people I could see the potential if Buddy comes back from injury and they build the Hounds of Hell, maybe. I like Brody King a lot. I think he's fun. So, like, I wouldn't be mad about it, but I just don't know if they're credible to sort of take the belt off the Hart Syndicate. If they want to build Kevin Knight and Speed Mike Bailey Ball into an actual tag team of Jet Speed, I would happily watch Jet Speed wrestle together. They're great. But as it stands, I'm like, there's just sort of a dearth in that field that I'm like,
It just needs a reconstruction. They need to do what they've done with every other division and go, right, how do we fix the tag division? And the answer isn't make it a side piece of the MJF story of the week. As much as I am the biggest MJF fan.
I like MJF a lot. I think this Hart Syndicate thing is very funny. And there's things moving in that as of last night that are interesting. Okay. Whether it becomes an actual story or whether it's just a side quest that sort of goes nowhere remains to be seen. But we're kind of linking Osprey up into this, which is interesting to me. We'll see what's going on.
They can't give Osprey the belt yet. So they keep on dragging him into weird mid-card feuds.
Yeah, which is very funny. And he's having a great time, at least, I suppose. But yeah, that tag division needs a reconstruction. And as much as I keep caping for women's tag titles, I want tag titles that work and are booked well. And I want women to be booked well, but we move on.
Yeah, we move on. We move on to Kazuchika Okada versus Speedball Mike Bailey for the Continental Championship.
Yes.
This was great.
This was a lot of fun. I love Speedball. I think Speedball is so good. Everyone loves Speedball, but they're just so much fun to watch. And the kicks and the offense and just, a delight. Like, really, I think one of the best news.
Yeah. I think they present quite simple as just a wrestler. But
Yes.
they get the crowd on side by the pure athleticism and baby face fire. And I just love them. I love them dearly. If they weren't already married, I'd be trying.
Yes. I mean, Speedball to me is kind of to the men what Willow is to the women for me, and that like sometimes you just have such a pure baby face that you can put them kind of anywhere, and you know that crowd's going to get behind them and be like, yeah, we want you to win, we want this to work out for you, like. And I think that is such an invaluable asset to have. So I'm so glad Speedball is kicking him out. I would have loved to have seen him win. Knew he wasn't going to because. Hey, spoiler alert, I knew we were doing this match that got announced last night, which, for anyone who didn't see, Fighter Fest, I believe is what they called it. We're running back Omega Okada for winner takes it all in. So I was like, they're unifying those belts, and like, I knew that was coming. So I was like, Okada's not dropping.
They've needed to for 2 years.
They've needed to for ages, so like, I'm glad they are. But, you know, yeah. It's good to have a good showing even when you kind of know the result.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't like what they call freestyle Okada because Okada used to be the best wrestler in the world, put on 5-star matches every week. Thing is, he has grown older, but I think he's still really effective in his new role. Yeah. He's a funny heel, and like, he watches matches, but he is just doing what he did before, but like, takes because the whole presentation of Okada as a wrestler is I will let my opponent do everything to me, but I will have a way out of all of it, and I'll just let them do it. And then as soon as it's time for me to do it to Okada mode, I go into Okada mode, and that's what this match was. And when he goes into Okada mode, it's really good. I saw him wrestle
when he took people just straight out the air, and I was like, oh no, we've hit Okada mode. Let's go.
That drop kick mid-air on the 550, whatever it was that Bailey was trying to do.
Brutal.
Work of art.
Yeah, so good.
I saw him wrestle in Cardiff against Claudio Castagnoli, and I was like, this is the best match I've ever seen.
So good.
Live, he was electric.
Yeah, and like not every match has to be like a 5-star epic. I think it is perfectly fine to put on like, here's a serviceable 3 to 4-star match, and you're like, great.
He is the perfect mid-card title holder for AEW. Yeah. I don't see him ever going any higher, and I don't think he wants to. He's just having a nice end of like, he's gone from being the best wrestler in the world to I'm in America, I'm making money, I'm getting TV, and that's fine. And you know, he's got a good catchphrase, and he's still got a really fun character.
Sometimes that's kind of like what you want, right? Like you show up, you get paid good money, you get to wrestle on occasion, but you're not like absolutely like wrecking yourself every week because you're a main eventer. You're just like being paid on TV, having fun.
But still looks amazing every time they
looks amazing.
You know? It's not like Shinsuke Nakamura, who has never done anything of any worth since going onto the main roster, despite being, before that time, my favourite wrestler. Okada's still Okada to me, and I think,
this one was a good
shout out to Mike Bailey's Belatro gear. We all liked that. That was good.
Speed Belatro.
Speed.
I love their gear. Their gear's been great. The Chrono Trigger frog was also excellent.
Oh, Chrono! I see. Yeah, I didn't pick that one up.
I love when they do just like a silly nerdy reference, of which we get another couple in this pay-per-view again. And I'm like, it's just so nice to be reminded that wrestlers are just like massive big losers who got buff and fight people now. Like, that's great.
Yeah, theatre kids. That they are either nerds or theatre kids who got buff, and one day I might be one. That's my goal. I'll at least get put through a table. That's my goal. And it was the most casino themed thing in this whole Double or Nothing card.
It really was very funny, frankly.
Next we had timeless Tony Storm.
Speaking of a theatre kid.
Yeah. With Luther, of course. against Mina Shirakawa. It was great.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this match.
Yeah.
It wasn't as good as the last one.
Yes.
But it was good.
There was less motivating factors in this one. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. It's really weird because I remember there being a third person in their feud last time. But in the video
sure
evidence, she wasn't there. So I'm like,
sure was.
am I just misremembering what happened?
Watching that video package was the first time I was like, well, that's that decided. But, however, they're great. Match was very solid. I enjoyed Mina's limb work. I enjoyed seeing her do a real focus in that. That's very fun to me. Mina's kind of come in hot to AEW. She was good before, but I was like, oh, you've kind of locked in on this, and I'm glad to see it.
They fixed the theme, which is nice.
They fixed the theme instantly. Very funny. Tony Khan got bullied on Twitter and changed it within a match.
I heard there were a few people were pitching that she should have come out the bad theme here to build into the idea that she's the heel of the match. And at the end, after they kiss, you play her actual music.
It would have kind of been fun, actually. But that would have required it to have been thought out rather than, oh, no one likes the theme, change it back.
Yeah.
Because solid.
Mina works heel, like you're saying, the limb work was really impressive, and it's putting Tony in peril ahead of All In.
Yeah. Which I enjoy, and again, this was another one where I was like, look, Tony will probably retain, because especially after Mercedes won the Owen, I was like, Tony has to retain because they're gonna book Mercedes Tony. That's just how it works. But it was still good.
It's the biggest match possible in the women's division of AEW right now. So, biggest show ever.
My issue with it is obviously that I feel it chokes the division in terms of both your titles are now locked up in one match, which not ideal, which is why I'm kind of hoping... I was kind of hoping Mercedes would drop it ahead of All In, but she's kind of not wrestling at the minute, which... They're doing strange work. And again, I'm kind of looking forward a little to this week's Dynamite where they had Tony and Mina fighting Julia Hart and Sky Blue, which that tag match was very fun. I enjoyed it a lot. They are wonderful as ever. But they had Mercedes on commentary, and I'm like, that's fine. But your thing here is Mercedes is best in the ring and Tony is best on a mic. So I feel you've put this the wrong way around.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll
but
see.
I love that Tony is a fighting champion. You can say what you like about her, but she'll defend that title like her life depends on it. I feel like she's wrestled every week, which I love, frankly.
Yeah, and she does it in matches that still elevate everyone else in them.
Yeah.
And I think they have done themselves in a little bit because no one can really ever match the last feud. You can't have a Mariah May level cinematic feud unless you find something that works. You go to RJ City and you go, RJ, have you got any ideas? Any of them. You can have any of these women. You can tell another story. Go watch some more classic movies. Do you need a month off to go and watch Turner Classics? Go, RJ. We don't need you here.
And I just think it's why I'm going into All In, I do expect Tony to drop the title. And I think that's fine on paper. I think Mercedes having a world title run makes sense. I think she's more than earned it. She can go in the ring. It makes sense. But you gotta free up that TBS title because you're already struggling to get title feuds booked. So you cannot have Mercedes wearing both titles. And also, I just think Tony can afford to eat a loss. She's so ridiculously over with that crowd that she could eat pins all day long and everyone would still be like, we want her to win. And I'm like, that's the correct response, actually. You should. Yeah.
She was saying here, and
she did retain
we got the most iconic moment of Tony and Mina kissing in the middle of the ring.
Yeah, she loves to do that.
Picture of this. I tried to get a picture in the middle of this, but there was no high quality pictures. I'm like,
oh, I have so many. I will put some in the Discord later. Look at who you're talking to. I have all of that content. It's nice to see the makeup. It's nice to see a title. Actually, like, sort of refreshingly, it's nice to see a title match that ends with like the mutual respect and love of like, good match. This is great.
And I think that they are doing the sapphic angle. They're making it explicit.
Yes.
And it's not what it has been in wrestling for years, which is exploitative, especially in mainstream wrestling.
Yes.
I know on the indies, it's much better. But like, you can tell this is something that they want to do, and that they are pushing.
Oh, am I in the trenches on the internet every single day defending that point? Because yes, you can absolutely tell that this is something they've chosen to do. This is a story they want to tell. I think it's also so important that there's queer people at the helm of that. Like, Tony is shoot bisexual. Like, this is a thing that she clearly wants to do, and everyone is clearly on board with.
It gives me hope in a world, especially in America, where it's going to be difficult for them to keep doing this.
Mm-hmm.
It's. I mean, their second world champion was a trans woman.
Yes,
but unfortunately, we've not seen much of Nyla Rose in a while.
We haven't. I would like to see her back.
I'd love to see her back. I am just conscious that there'll be a point in AEW where they're going to start to struggle politically to keep her on television, even though she's being used backstage. And it's a big concern for me that, like, because we've just lost Abaddon.
Yes.
Their title, let's say their contract wasn't renewed. They weren't really being used in AEW.
Yeah. And
but
also,
I really liked them.
I liked them well enough. I liked their gimmick, but I'm also like, were you kind of being out wrestled at this stage by a lot of your division? Sort of. And it's hard, I think, to balance that. Like, it is important to have those stories and those diverse people on your roster, but I'm also like, you don't want the feeling that people are being kept for the diversity.
I don't think Abaddon was the right fit for AEW. I think early on they fit, and then they've refined it, and they've gone, actually, this kind of gimmick doesn't really work. Though I would have loved to see an
gimmick.
Yeah, I would have loved to see if they could do a Tony Storm and Abaddon feud, because there's something in that. There's something in classic slasher move. Like, I don't. It's all talking hypotheticals.
I also think, like, nowadays I'm like, they're not going to do it because they're doing it as a tag, but I'm like, if we're doing a Tony Julia feud, that should be a Hammer horror. Like, why are we not like that? But I digress.
I had the opinion that when Tony came back, she should have been in a different era of movies.
Yeah. She's kind of moving. She's slightly less.
I was very doubtful. I've been quite doubtful of the Tony Storm timeless gimmick for a while, until the Mariah May feud kicked back off again. I was like, oh, I'm so wrong. This is actually brilliant. It's been brilliant all along. I've just been going, I want to see Technicolor Tony Storm.
Well, the issue with the timeless gimmick is that Tony forgot how to wrestle when she became timeless for a little minute. And it took that match with Azumi to remember, wait, actually, I'm a really good wrestler. Hold on.
Yeah.
And ever since then, and she walked in, I'm like, okay, you've figured it out. You've found the balance again. Great.
You found the balance between character and actually you can just wrestle as well.
Yes. And also she's doing, like, seeing her win with, like, submissions now and, like, feeding in some new moves. I'm like, I love that for you. I love to see a wrestler continue to evolve even when they've found something that really works for them.
And I like the re-inclusion of the Storm Zero. Like, as much as we
I'm
all
a Storm
love...
Zero hater. Here's the thing. I love her pile drivers. I think they look so good. I think the snap pile driver looks lethal, but also, is the Storm Zero the worst protected finisher in the entire company? Quite possibly. Like, sometimes you're taking like 3, 4, 5 Storm Zeros to put someone away, get a new finisher. Like, keep it as a signature. But, you know.
I like the hip attack. I think the hip attack in a small package as a finisher is a little disappointing.
Yes. I like the small package when I feel like there's a story cause for it. At Dynasty, when she was with Megan Bain, and it was very clearly I'm outmatched and therefore I've outsmarted you. That really worked for me. She sold that in a way that I was like, sure, like you got put up on her shoulders and thought, oh, I'm not stronger than you. I'm not out wrestling you. I have to be cunning about this. That worked. Just a regular small package. I'm like, yeah.
Well, the big package. Sorry, myself.
Of course. Not to disrespect her. Of course.
Promos wouldn't make sense otherwise.
It's true. I think it worked when she was doing her. So... God, she's just the best. She's just the best. And kind of go back to what we were saying, like her getting to be on live TV and like explicitly say that she's queer and being able to wrestle and have all these sapphic moments and cut promos stood in front of trans flags. Like it means a lot to see that, especially given that like, hey, they still like posted for Pride or making a point of it being Pride Month, etc. And I'm like, it's just like, is it kind of bare minimum, I guess, but also given the world at the minute, it's very nice to see people try that.
In comparison to the Fed, who have released maybe all but one queer wrestler this year, they've got one left on their roster, and I think it's because they don't know it.
Piper Niven, right?
Piper, yeah. And yeah, it's just they are the best of the bunch of the big boys, and it does keep me loving AEW and keeping me there. Like I feel like everyone is welcome to AEW. Like, did you read the blog post of that person who held the trans flag?
Oh yeah, and like they made a point of reaching out on socials to say they were so glad they enjoyed the show, and like it's nice to have that sort of welcoming environment. I was talking recently about so like as backstory, I got into wrestling via the Tony Mariah feud. Like that was what got me. For obvious reasons, I am who I am, and it just ticked a whole load of boxes of things I love. And I think for the longest time, I'd only ever seen people talk about wrestling in context of WWE and the men, and the only people I'd heard talk about it were like teenage boys who are the worst people to learn anything from ever. So watching all of that unfold and watching these shows, I was like, oh, I didn't realize that there's a place for people like me in wrestling. So seeing that on like one of the big stages, one of the bigger companies, is just so nice, and it's so nice to see them continue to do that. And I hope it does continue and that they do make the time and space for those stories, because I think it means a lot. And quite frankly, at this stage, really positions them as the alternative of the big two, which I think is the angle you want to be playing to, really.
I couldn't have put it better myself.
Yeah, like,
we have spoken about this match longer than it probably went on.
Look, if you let me talk about Tony Storm, I will not shut up, and that's just the fact of life.
No, I agree, and you should do it. I've been trying to convince people around the world that Tony Storm is actually the best thing ever. And
she genuinely really is.
I want to write a million essays about this entire feud, about the recontextualization of sapphicness in mainstream wrestling, and there's just so much to talk about. But we do have a great match to talk about next.
Yes, we do. Oh,
we're talking about
sickos.
This is for the sickos. Anarchy in the Arena. Kenny Omega, Swerve Strickland, Willow Nightingale, The Ops, which is Samoa Joe, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Kazuri Sabata with Prince Nana versus the Death Raiders of John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Marina Shafir, Wheeler Yuta, and the Young Bucks, Matthew Jackson and Nicholas Jackson. It was a big match of people.
Delightful match it was. I love Anarchy in the Arena. I really do. It's tailor-made to hit all of the like stupid things I love about wrestling. Like, and I say that with so much affection in my heart. Sometimes pro wrestling is stupid, and that's a good thing sometimes. Like, it really is.
This is probably my favorite of them off the top of my head.
Yes. Yeah, I would agree.
I can't picture the other ones very clearly.
I went back and like watched them all to be like, am I sure this is my favorite? And like they're all very, very good, but this is, I think, the strongest. And am I biased because I think it's the strongest for the inclusion of the women? Maybe, but I don't. That's my right.
I think last year's had a better soundtrack.
Yes,
the soundtrack of last year's was much better. This year's was like, I get it. The jokes are working.
Yes.
The Young Bucks coming out as the founding fathers was one Lin-Manuel Miranda away from being maybe the funniest thing ever.
So funny. Like, genuinely, I was like, what are they doing? And then the longer it went on, the more it sort of hit that like absurdity level of like, I'm gone. I've lost it already and they've not even started. Let's go.
Absolute chaos in this match. Joe wasn't there to start with because he was just ready to beat people up backstage.
It's so beautiful, so deeply beautiful. Yeah, my partner who I was watching was like, I hope Joe's okay. Like Joe's not here, and I was like, Joe's gonna kill someone in a minute.
There was so much madness. Willow took Maria Shafir off into the far reaches so they could use her sparingly.
The men are like scrapping in the arena and they're outside just like trying to murder each other. Delightful.
And then Shibata just walks out and walks back in again.
Also very funny. Like, it's so funny. And here's the thing. Can I say I think Marina Shafir is a good wrestler? No. Can I say I think she was used very well here? Yes, I actually think she was. I think she suits like matches like this where like technical wrestling, not really that important. She's great for a stipulation match. She's great to be a little freak. She's great at being intimidating. So this actually was perhaps the perfect place for her. Like, I thought she looked really good this match. And I was like, wow, fair play. You can't convince me she's a good wrestler, but she looked great.
It's the first time I've gone, okay, you are part of the Death Raiders. You're not just there to stand there and look at the camera. Because like I've been so confused why Marie was even ever part of the faction since the start. I'm like, I don't like unless you're going to dominate the women's division, like don't bother with it.
Like I feel like they should have had they should have had a woman. Obviously Marina is there, but they should have had a woman there who was going to like run riot in the women's division.
At least take the TBS title.
So yeah, she's always been a bit strange, but I'm like, okay, she sold her role here really well. I also I respect that she will take any bump off anyone. She'll take anything, and I'm like, I respect that because a lot of people probably would shy away from that. And yeah, I enjoy the heat she gets from being locked up with one of the men, spitting in their face and screaming, "Do it, you coward!" Incredible work, frankly. Good for her.
We got stuff like Swerve Strickland at one point got pulled out onto they were attacking somebody on the stage, the Young Bucks, and then he came out on a forklift truck and they froze in place waiting for Swerve to get there and then he jumped on them.
Delightful. It's so silly. Swerve also came out dressed in Predator gear. Looked great. Yep. Very, very intense aura off that man. Love him.
I think there's so much in these matches. You just have to kind of pick out spots.
Yeah.
What else was there?
Willow got chained to the ring post by her ear. Crazy work. Love you, Willow.
Crowd start chanting, "Please help Willow."
And they're right to do it. My favourite running bit is the Mox fears Willow chant because. Quite frankly, I do think Willow should pin Mox and win the world title, and I mean that so seriously. I think the AEW world champion should be Willow Nightingale and Tony Storm, and I will not elaborate. That's just how it is.
I think you're correct. I get why they haven't done more intergender stuff, but I think that the wrestling in AEW is that they could do it well. Like you could see it easily.
And I liked that there was as much as there wasn't as much as I want because the nature of this match is people kind of pair off anyway, and Marina needed an experienced hand, and that's fine. I liked that there was some intergender spots here and there. When Willow took down both the Bucks, the joy in my heart, the serotonin. I was like, let her get the pin. Let her pin one of the Bucks, and we can call it here.
The Kenny spot with the Young Bucks take him off the apron or off the top rope onto a table, power drive, crazy stuff.
Crazy.
They made Powerhouse Hobbs look like $1 million.
So good. Every time someone hits him in the back and the crowd starts up with "you fucked up," joy in my heart.
The stapler sequence where the staplers out, and then I think it's Swerve gets it and staples everyone everywhere.
Yes,
and then
the bit where Yura jumps from the top rope and he just staples him out of the air, incredible.
And then he gets stapled in the tongue, and it's all real.
Yeah, Marina grabs him by the face and staples him in the tongue, which, I mean, free tongue piercing, but at what cost? Like, good God.
Yeah, and we got the sequence where Powerhouse Hobbs had been wearing this black, powerful, and proud shirt the entire time, and then him and Willow team up, and she reveals that she's also wearing the t-shirt underneath, and the crowd goes wild. It was great.
Oh, Willow in the big black and Jack shirt, what a woman. Like, she's incredible. I'm so glad she re-signed, because like she might not be the face of your women's division, but she's the heart of it. Like, that is an AEW to her core.
The
like, she's
crowd
just so good.
really connects with her, and
she's so hard not to connect with. Like, she's just such a delight, and everyone is so behind her all the time. I think it's incredible.
Yeah, great match. The faces win by the return of the ambulance. Chekhov's ambulance. Yeah, and Mark Briscoe coming back to still covered in blood. It's like he didn't even go to the hospital. He was meant to be taken away in the ambulance. I want to see the footage. I want to see the footage of him getting to the health center, waking up and going, "What?" And it's running.
Yeah, driving the ambulance back.
Yeah, still thinks that he's in his match. It was because we got a little bit of oh my God, what's his name?
From the
British wrestler.
Gabe Kidd.
Gabe Kidd. There we go.
Yeah.
Don't send that to Gabe Kidd. He'll get mad at me, and I'll be shouted at. Because he took out Eddie Kingston.
Yeah.
And it seemed like the idea was
it should have been Eddie Kingston.
It should have been Kingston, and
I think
it wasn't.
As far as I've heard, they held that spot for him, and he just wasn't quite cleared, which is a shame. But understandable. You don't want to rush these things, and Mark Briscoe did an excellent job in it anyway. So it is what it is. There's no point in. But yeah, Gabe Kidd came to take him out, which
I suspect
I can take or leave Gabe Kidd.
I suspect we're getting Gabe versus Ospreay at Forbidden Door.
Quite possible.
Like the match that I want.
Yes, quite possible. I'm not a big Gabe Kidd type of guy. He's fine, but
he's British, and he grew up. When I got into wrestling, he was still on the British indie scene.
Mm-hmm.
And then went to New Japan and has become this like mega star. So like, I have a fondness for Gabe Kidd, mostly out of. It's like he's not Ospreay, he's not Zack Sabre Jr., but he is on the third rung of those boys.
Yeah, I would like to see Zack Sabre Jr. at Forbidden Door. Actually, I think he's very good.
I would like to see Zack every day of the week.
Well, yes.
I would like to watch that man wrestle and promo his way out of everything.
I think so often about that media scrum quote he did about what was it? Trying to do a technical
Toys.
wrestling match. Trying to do a technical wrestling match for an American audience is trying to teach a dog chess. And I was like, I mean,
he could lock me up in his legs any day of the week, and I'd be a very happy person.
That's so valid.
Yeah. Anyway, so they locked up the Death Raiders in an ambulance, and then they had a big old sequence taking out the books, and eventually someone got the pin on one of the books.
It was a lot all at once. I don't remember who nails it eventually. I think genuinely the only thing I could have asked for more if I was like fantasy booking it myself is I want Chris Statlander.
Yeah.
Because they've been doing this build with her and Willow where she's trying to redeem herself for her silly little heel turn. She did nothing wrong. She's perfect. It's so fine. She didn't do anything wrong. And Willow's kind of been like, well, I'm busy doing Death Raider stuff. Please help me with that. And then she didn't. And I was like, well, I just feel like she should have been laying in wait somewhere to, like, I don't know, punch Willow in the head. Like, she could have come out and unlocked Willow. Yeah, like, she didn't have to do anything. She could have just let Willow out. And I'm like, well, you know. But also, I am of the opinion that I should always be asking where Chris Statlander. So, again, I'm biased. But I think she's one of the best wrestlers you've got. And why is she not here all the time? Even with her 2 blown knees.
Yeah. Well, we'll move on to a match that happened, I think.
Yep,
apparently,
that happened.
Apparently there's a 3v3 Don Carr's family of Koneske to Koneshka, Kyle Fletcher, Josh Alexander versus the Paragon, which is Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong. I really like 3 of these guys. And then the Paragon were there.
And yeah, it happened. Like, I was there. Hey, gonna be so real. This is your cool down, like, bathroom break match. And that's fine. I think when a pay-per-view card is so stacked, sometimes you need a match that's just gonna take a break, gonna reset, gonna come back.
I'm in the minority of people who think that the MJF and Adam Cole feud was really good until the end. Most people are like, oh, it was rubbish the whole way through. And I'm like,
no, I think it was good.
My favourite match, and if anyone's like, what is the perfect wrestling match? Adam Cole versus MJF at All In is the perfect wrestling match in my mind. It's a masterpiece.
No, I enjoyed the feud. I agree that the end, obviously, for various reasons, did not pan out the way they wanted it to. It happens. But the feud was good. Like,
saying that, I think the Adam Cole experiment is over. I think we can't fix this.
Yes. And I feel bad because Adam Cole seems like the nicest man alive. He really does seem like a delight. However, I do feel like he has the TNT title as like a consolation run at the minute. And that's fine, but it's fine. We're maybe done. Unfortunately, his theme is better than he is.
Yeah, and like his partners, Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong, are more entertaining to watch. I think the reality is that Adam Cole worked in NXT because it was a small arena, and that arena knew him really well, and he was like he was for a long while the center point of NXT, like Black and Gold NXT.
Yeah.
I think they positioned him in such a way in AEW. He had a reality TV show about him that fell apart because of real life drama, and he was injured. His injury buggered his biggest storyline. He's good. He's just you compare him to like everyone else on the roster, and you're like, I don't know where you fit, buddy. I think you're good, and enjoy your AEW Games channel with Evil Uno. That's fun for you. And like, I could watch Koneske Takeshita wrestle Finn Air, and I would love it. But I didn't like this.
No.
And
And I think
was a
Kyle Fletcher is like one of your guys. Like, that's one of AEW's guys. And I'm just like, well, he's fine here. But when I'm kind of saying that about Kyle Fletcher, it's like, well, something's a problem here. And historically speaking, it's not Kyle, and it's not Takeshita.
And it's not Josh Alexander, because
no, he's very talented. I'm not a huge Josh Alexander fan, but also that's a personal take. It's nothing on his wrestling ability, which is very, very good. Like, so, you know, Kyle Fletcher, however, what a guy.
I think you could have took this out for an angle instead, or like a promo segment in the ring as the cool down. I think you do more damage to your own wrestlers by letting them have a cool down match that has this much talent in it.
Yeah.
That aren't being used properly.
And I think cool down matches can still be good, but I think they have to be like very solid to not get lost in that way. And I don't know. I wonder sometimes if Adam Cole's ankle is still a real problem for him, and it's just kind of hindered where he's at. Especially given, like, obviously we've just had Sky Blue return, who also was out with an ankle injury, which I can't remember exactly, but I broke my ankle last October, and I believe Sky broke the same bone I broke, and that is a notoriously complex bone and very, very difficult to recover from. So understandably, she was out for a long time. But I feel like she came back hot and solid, and maybe with a little bit of ring rust, but not really. Whereas I'm like, I wonder how much injury slows Adam Cole down nowadays.
Yeah.
Which is a shame if that is the case. Like, really tough thing to happen, unfortunately, but nature of the business.
He'd be a great manager because he's good on the mic.
He is, and I think that's why they've been putting him on commentary recently. But I'm like, it just feels wild to have your TNT champion on commentary every week and not wrestling.
Yeah.
So
well, that was more care in that match than I did watching it. Poor for the guys.
The TNT title should go on Kyle Fletcher. Put it on him. He'd have a great time.
Congratulations to Konosuke Takeshita for announcing his marriage to
Yuka Sasaki, which very cute. Good for them. Their dog's adorable also.
I'm still waiting for the payoff from the first freeway for the women's title where Rio turned on Yuka and they've never followed it up. And I'm still waiting for that storyline to be resolved.
This is the thing. I'm like, there's so many stories. I can't get into the Owen Hart winners again. I can't go back there. But just know that I still think that Jamie should have won so that she could have had the angle of, well, Tony killed my back and took me out of running for the world title before. So I'm like, there's a ready-made story angle there.
I just know that they're saving it.
Both your titles up.
They're saving it for London next year. They're saving Ospreay and Hayter for London next year.
I know. But the fact that we're going into Forbidden Door this year with no Brits in like the world title scene, I'm like...
Yeah. I'm happy though, because I don't want to miss Ospreay winning the belt. Like, I want to be in the building when Ospreay wins the belt, because when he wins the belt, I'm going to lose my goddamn mind. Yeah,
that's the thing. Like, you either have a Brit going in as champ, or you have a Brit win the championship there. And either way, it's going to be hot as hell. It's fine. I've decided we're adopting Tony as an honorary Brit. She did her time in the UK Indies. She's ours now.
She did a time in the UK Indies. She was the NXT UK Women's Champion, and that's her biggest accomplishment in WWE. I forgot to mention the most important part of this match was at the very end when we had Hiroshi Tanahashi come out.
Oh, Forbidden Door, you're going to be so good. I'm so excited.
Did his electric guitar. Didn't do the I am one signature from Kamen Rider, which is why I love him. I'm
so excited though. Like that got a pop out of me in a match that otherwise did not really.
My brain hadn't put together the pieces. Of course, Tanahashi's going to have a match at Forbidden Door. It's probably going to be his last and burn. I just hadn't thought about it until the moment he came out, and I went, "Oh, it's Forbidden Door! They're setting up Forbidden Door! Oh my god, he's gonna have his last match in the UK in Forbidden Door! Fuck, I've got to get tickets now."
You do gotta get tickets.
Yeah, God above. Anyway, that's exciting, and that got me awake. But then, unfortunately, I did fall asleep in the next 5 minutes, so I had to watch this the next day. For the main event of
Yes.
Hangman Adam Page versus Will Ospreay in the 2025 Men's Owen Hart Foundation Cup tournament final is the official title.
It is indeed. Do I open with my hot take on this match? Maybe
Go
I do.
ahead, because I think I might agree with you.
Too long.
Yeah.
Just not overly, but fractionally. And like, we overdid it a little tiny bit.
I went in with the expectation this might be a match of the year contender.
Yeah.
It's not going to be. But that's because the story they're telling was too slow for its own good.
Yes. And I think it's been too slow for a long time for a lot of reasons. If they don't pull the trigger and have Hangman win at this stage, they're shooting themselves in the foot. The Death Rider stuff needs to be done, I think.
Yes, they have to. They've got no choice.
And I think it's very clear they've been waiting for Darby Allin. Too late. You're killing your division. It has to end. The actual match, I enjoyed a lot. I enjoyed a lot of the spots. I just was like, I feel like we've run it into the ground just slightly.
There was slightly too much standing around trying to do story where you've got it. We already had that. We get it. They slowed it down by a fraction too much.
Yeah.
And they postured a little bit too much. And I think what they're doing is they're saving it.
It's normally the opposite complaint I have to Ospreay, which is normally Ospreay goes too much too fast. Yeah. And I was like, oh, we've slowed it, we've went the other end. Well, let's bring it back up slightly. And I hate to say it, because I think there's a lot in that match I really, really liked and really engaged by. It's just, there's a spot where we could have trimmed a little bit of the fat, I think.
I think Ospreay's been pretty good adapting his style to AEW, but this was a place where I think one of the reasons they did it is because as much as we all love Hangman Adam Page, he just isn't an Ospreay level wrestler.
No, it's a very different vibe and style.
Yeah, it's a very different style, and I think they just pulled it so far down. There were moments of like brilliant back and forth.
Yeah.
They did make Ospreay look I think they took a little bit too much out of Ospreay on this one. Like, he just didn't seem to hit any of his moves.
Yeah. I did enjoy the spot where they were both, quite frankly, hitting their ex's moves. I'm like, these men rent-free in your heads. What are you doing? Come on now. Very funny. And I enjoyed that. I thought that was a very good, because I think as much as detractors like to say AEW do not tell stories the same way, that is true, but I think that's because AEW does a very good job at telling stories through the wrestling. And I think that was a really good example of that, of like, hey, these are potentially players, these are potentially things that are playing on these men's minds in this match. I was like, cool, that works. It's still with the wrestling. But we had a little bit too much of, I'm standing around and trying to make this story clear. And I'm like, we didn't need to do all of this. Have faith in your audience to trust that you know where it's going.
Promo of the year last week, selling this match. You don't have to do anything else. Ospreay's already done all the work. Like not saying that Hangman didn't. Hangman did a load of work going into this, but like that promo is brilliant.
The promo was brilliant, and if the match felt massive going in, it really, really did. Had such a marquee feeling. So I just feel like we didn't have to do quite as much of the work in ring to try and sell it to us as huge, because we were like, we all know that already. We feel it. Don't let the feeling go away by trying to hammer us over the head with the thing of this is a big deal. I'm like, no, I know. Do the wrestling.
Now do the wrestle, please. I think they're saving it for further down the line when Ospreay, where Hangman's got the belt and they give him an Ospreay. They could make Hangman champion until next All In.
They could.
And they have a rematch of this.
People like Hanger enough that I think a long reign would not feel terrible. So I'm not, do I have faith that they're to Darby? Maybe. But again, neither here nor there. I'm also a Darby Allin hater. So hater is strong. I just don't care for her.
Again, I like Darby. I mean, I get why people don't, and I get why people don't see him as champ. I get it. And I think it's because I watched AEW from day one. Yeah. And he's one of those guys they sold you as like, this guy's the future.
This is the guy.
Look how unique this guy is. And you're like, he is unique. He is a sicko. Like,
yes.
Then they put him with Sting for a few years. And you're like, but I'm still into him. And then there was the Sting retirement match. Like, that was really good. He is the perfect kind of match for Moxley. Like, that made sense. It's just that for some reason, Darby wanted to go and climb a very big mountain, which I assume he's still skateboarding down as we speak.
Yes, like, he got to the top, I saw him. But I assume he's still, like, well, unless he coffin dropped off the top, which would have been very funny, frankly. Do you really love the game if you're not going to coffin drop off Mount Everest? I don't think so.
They wouldn't let him take a skateboard up, so he took the AEW flag instead.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, that's a company guy. I understand why they want to, like, put their title on him, but I'm just like, if you have Hanger win and then immediately put it on Darby, people will be mad, I think.
Yeah.
I think you do have to sell Hanger as, like, this is the man who rescued AEW in the division from the Death Riders. Like,
you've got to give him a good title run, because he didn't the first time, and he needs one.
He does, and like, he's great.
I don't want to get back into they fucked up the Dark Order, but like, there was a story there, and they just never told the idea that Hangman accidentally became the leader of the Dark Order and made the Dark Order a force for good. Like, I get, don't ever have another leader of the Dark Order because of what happened, but actually no, because there was a story there, and the Dark Order just disappeared from television, and
they showed up very briefly for a match. They were there. I don't think they got an entrance. They were jobbers in a squash match, but they were there, I guess.
You could have had them anytime if you'd kept them consistent on television. They can fall into your trios belts, they can fall into your tag team belts. You could have one of them go for your lower mid card belt.
Yeah, I genuinely think that's like a big issue. Is like, sometimes your roster is stacked, and when your roster is stacked, people gotta get cut. And unfortunately, I think it must be very hard to make those calls because not everyone can be a main eventer.
Yeah.
And sometimes people who should be main eventers kind of have to stay upper mid card, and then you start to lose the people who should be like lower mid card because the upper mid carders are there. It's all just like all the way down, and you're like, well, no, this person hasn't been on TV in however long.
Yeah, I think releasing and it's such a complicated, because we got a couple of AEW releases recently, and like we also got WWE releases, and like both it's a bad thing that people lost their jobs. There are different contexts in each of them. Like a lot of the people who got released from AEW wanted to go, and I think if someone wants to go,
there's no point in locking them up.
There's no point locking them up. It's bad press. And honestly, if those people want to go elsewhere, let them go, because you know what? Yeah. A lot of those people aren't going to get in a good deal anywhere else either.
Yeah. And sometimes you release someone who wants to leave, even though you just offered them a really good deal and would like to have kept them, but they had other ideas, and therefore you release them and they show up 4 days later. But neither here nor
her contract came to an end. She knows where she wants to go. I think on the Mariah May front, I think that she believes she's got a better chance of getting over in promos in AEW in WWE. I genuinely think that's. I think she looks at what they do over there and she goes, "That will support what I'm good at better," because I think a lot of her in-ring promos.
It's the WWE dream, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
Unfortunately, AEW is not at a stage where they could ever compete with that because they just haven't been around long enough. They don't have the nostalgia factor yet. And if you grow up in WWE, if you model your work after that, you will think you're a better fit. And that's fine. Like, I have been like jokingly crashing out about Mariah because I will miss her in AEW. I really will. It's very clearly where she wants to be, and that's fine. I hope she's very successful over there, regardless.
But equally,
I think she's wrong.
Go on, Triples. Let's see if you can make anything near as good as that AEW run. There's no way in absolute hell Mariah May is ever going to reach that top again if she stays at the Fed.
And like, unfortunately for her, and I do mean unfortunately because I imagine this will become old very quickly because the internet is the internet. Anytime she takes a pin in NXT or WWE, she's going to have that Tony. She's going to have that I sentenced you to a life of mediocrity promo haunting her forever.
I very much enjoyed the Blue Skies posting of that video in response to her leaving. I was like, they're not wrong.
Sometimes wrestlers get hit with Apollo's red ball of prophecy and it's an accident and not a shoot, but you know. And here's the thing, she's very good in the ring and I'm sure she'll be great. I personally, if it was me, would not want to have given up the place where I told a story like that because I think it was a very singular story and I think it really changed a lot of things in terms of women's wrestling and the stories they get to tell. And I would like to see AEW continue to do stories like that. So I would like them to hurry up and start building that.
Yeah.
But hey, you know, it's very like old school territory wrestling. Like she came in, she told an incredible story, she had an excellent end, she got out. So like I can't actually fault it. I can't fault her for not being on TV after the Hollywood ending. You couldn't not, like, she had to stay off TV to sell that.
She did an amazing job of raising her own stock and then going, I want to go somewhere and they'll pay me for it.
Yeah.
I imagine one day we might see her back in AEW.
I would be surprised. She's very young still. She's only 26. Like, she has a whole career ahead of her. And frankly, her leaving sells the end of that feud incredibly. Like, yeah, she did step to God and God murdered her. Like, that's how that story ended. And hey, like, raised her own stocks, put Tony over in a way that is, I think, perhaps untouchable now. Like, I think Tony would have to do a lot to lose the goodwill the audience has for her. So
yeah. To bring it back to the main event of the show.
What did I tell you? You give me an opening.
Apparently Hangman did nothing wrong. Like, in a similar way that like the AEW diehards will never see Hangman as anything other than he did nothing wrong. He is Hangman Page. We love him. I'm in the camp. I'm in the camp of I kind of think he did some things wrong, but I understand why he did it.
Yeah, no, he very much did.
I'm in the camp of Swerve did nothing wrong. You should have threatened that baby. Screw that baby.
I think Swerve also did some things wrong. Let's not get it twisted. I think they're terrible and toxic for each other, and they should continue to be terrible and toxic for each other forever.
I love the homoeroticism of the men's title picture in AEW. Like, we've got Kenny, who got into a partnership with Hangman, became the heel, and then, like, the day he lost the belt, the first thing he sees before he goes into the ring is, what would your ex-boyfriend think of this? And you're like, and it's just evolved, and it's not intentional, as it is maybe with other places, but it's there.
It is.
And
They should take notes from the women's division and
they
start
should
kissing in
take
the ring.
notes on the
Don't be a coward about it.
Don't be a coward about it. Yeah, we'll see. Hangman, he's got to win the belt. We agree on that.
Yeah, I think so.
He's got to have a good title run and not lose it immediately to Darby.
Mm-hmm.
You know what you could do? I put Darby in a feud with Kenny Omega. That's what they should do on the way back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much for joining me on this episode of pay-per-view.
I always talk about AEW. I have a great time with it. Yeah, Double or Nothing was great. Real solid. Well,
solid 8 out of 10.
Yeah. Some absolute banger matches in that card.
They've got a
Mercedes, man.
Yeah. They've
just
got
opened so hot.
They've set the ceiling pretty high for All In.
Yeah. And there's some really, really good matches in that card. So I'm hopeful that it's going to go well. And a thing that, as you can probably guess, is predictable for me, I'm sad because I want the women to main event. Will the women main event? No, because Hangman has to win that belt. And if Hangman wins that belt, you have to close the show with that. Like, you just have to. Like, that's going to be the high of the show. Is the Death Rider being gone. If
I was in the AEW writers' room, I would also be going, put that on first, let the women main event. Yeah. Because this is the best chance they've got to main event. This is their
marquee match.
Yeah.
And if they don't main event this time, I think everyone is going to feel real bad about it, even though I do understand why they would want Hanger and Mox to main event.
Yeah. They might call it a double main event. Which isn't a real main event, but they might go back to back on it.
They might. Like, realistically, the way you fix this is the Hollywood ending should have main evented, and we should have had that stupid Mox match as the main event. Because then the women would have had a main event, and Hanger and Mox could main event y'all in, and there would have been no issue. Like,
we just got to fix the Hollywood ending.
You didn't even have to fix the match. You just got to slide it down the card.
We just gotta go around and make time travel, and the one thing we do with it, we don't fix anything else in the world. We fix the Hollywood ending, but the butterfly effect of fixing that is that we cause world peace.
I think it genuinely would. I really, really do.
This was a lovely conversation. Thank you very much for joining us, Bex.
Of course.
Where can people on the internet find you, and what are you up to at the moment?
People on the internet can find me at Phoenix Force on Blue Sky. At the minute, I am posting my way through my deep dive into wrestling and wrestling history and finding new things. So if you have match recommendations, anyone is free to send me them along and I'll watch them because I'm having fun. Hey, I'm going to be so real with you. I would prefer them to be women's matches because I am who I am, but that's fine. Like kicking about, doing some actual plays. Tuesdays I'm in a Dragon Age game, which is very fun, where I play big, tall, buff women, shockingly. Who's surprised? And yeah, that's pretty much it at the minute. Some other things coming down the pipeline, but you can keep an eye out and I'll be around.
Thank you very much. Well, we might see you here again because I might
I would happily come along. I will happily come along and talk about AEW anytime.
I had an absolute ball talking about this show, and I look forward to hearing what else. I would like to recommend, and they're sort of women's matches, and I'm not sure if you've already seen them. The Penta versus Chelsea Green and Penta versus Io Sky matches from Lucha Underground.
Hell yeah! Okay, I have seen the lights flowing around. I have not watched yet. I will absolutely watch.
The Io Sky one is for the sickos. It's fucking great.
Well, I saw Chelsea Green on Dimension 20, and she's very charming. So I will have to watch her do some wrestling.
I will save my criticisms of that Dimension 20 series for another day.
That's fair.
It's a very much like you can see the guns being pointed at Brennan's head to like, you have got to be real careful about what you say to these people. there is a room of WWE contracting people who are like watching every second of this. You can't do anything that we're not going to agree on. I'm like,
run it back with AEW wrestlers. I want to
run it
watch
back
it.
with AEW wrestlers, exactly.
Someone teach Tony Storm how to play Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, Athena used to do the D&D show on Up Up Down Down. So
put Athena in. I want to watch Tony play D&D. I think it would be delightful, and I want her to play it in kayfabe. I want it to be Timeless Tony Storm playing a D&D character. That's what I want.
With that amazing image, we will leave it there for this week. We'll be back. Me and Steve will be back shortly for Money in the Bank, and I will have my body leave my soul until I return to AEW. Bye-bye!